Hi everyone, good day wherever you are watching this from. My name is Marilyn Bruce and I'm a Ghanaian-based menswear fashion designer. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. You're going to love it right here. Without much further ado, let's get straight into the business of today. So what you are seeing right here is a Dartless corset top that I made for myself, and I'm going to be taking you through the process of making this seamlessly because I know a lot of people struggle to achieve this, and this was me some years back. So if this is something you are interested in, you want to sit back, relax, and I'm going to take you through the process of making this because it's quite easy than you know. Let's get into it. These are the materials you're going to need for this project. You need to get a cup of your size. You're also going to get a ridgeline bone. It has to be in two sizes. So what I have here is a 12 mm and 8 mm. The bigger one is going to be for the bodies and the smaller one is going to be for the caging of the cup. You also need a plastic bone. You need a masking tape. You also need your marking tools. It could be a pen, pencil, or chalk. You also need your scissors, your rulers, and then the main fabric. So I'll be using a tulle net, and then I'll also be using a crepe fabric. Firstly, you're going to mark either 1.5 inch or 2 inches away from the bottom of the cup. So here I'm making use of 2 inches. Then I'm going in by half an inch. So what I'm doing here is creating a dart for this cup because this cup naturally comes in flat, okay, and we don't want to be working with a flat cup. So what a dart does here is to uplift the cup a bit to give it that curved nature normally push-up cups have. Okay, so that's the purpose of the dart and nothing more. So next I'm taking it to my machine to stitch this dart down. Then you always have to make sure to trim off any excesses. Okay, so I'll just trim off the excess to avoid any bulkiness. So the next thing to do is to get a pattern of the cup. Okay, so to achieve this, we are going to be wrapping our masking tape all around the cup. Okay, so you can watch what I'm doing and you're going to understand, like I always say, because it's self-explanatory. So for some interesting reason, I think I find this method very simple and straightforward as compared to you customizing the cap from scratch. I mean, if the style doesn't have any special style line, or if your client is not overly busty, I don't think there's a need for you to draft a cap from scratch. I mean, everybody has their preference, but I choose to go with this method because I find it more easy. So after you are done, you're also going to go in the other direction and you're going to max it all over, just as I'm doing. After the taping is done, you're going to be trimming off all the excesses. So just as I'm doing along the edges of the cup, you're going to go in and trim off all the excesses because we don't need that. After you are done trimming all the excesses, your cup should come out looking like so, very neat and nice. Next thing you're going to do is to fold your cup into two to mark the middle point. The length of my cup is 6 inches and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So you're going to divide your cup into two. Whatever measurement you get, you're going to mark that down. So this cup is going to be a 3-part cup. So that is what I'm doing. I'm trying to divide it into the 3 sections you normally see on 3-part cups, sorry. So the upper part, I'm making use of 1.5 inches. So I'm going to mark that all round to give me that section. And after I'm done, I'm going to be labeling this into A, B, and C. You can label yours 1, 2, or 3. Whatever works for you, you go with that. But you always have to make sure you are labeling. Labeling is very important. So you can see me labeling CF. What CF actually means is center front, and SF is the side front. So this actually will help me to know which part of the cap will go to the center and which part is going to the side. Okay, so labeling is very important, like I said. Now let's get straight into drafting the body of our corset. So I'm marking down some horizontal lines, and these lines are going to be my shoulder line, my nipple point line, under bust, my waistline, and then my hip line. So the length of my top is going to be 24 inches. To get the length of your corset top, you're going to be adding 5 inches to whatever measurements you get for your shoulder to waist. Okay, so if your shoulder to waist is 15, you're going to add 5 inches to that 15 to give you 20 inches. If your shoulder to waist is 18, you're going to add 5 inches to give you 23 inches. You do not have to add more than 5 inches to your top, else your corset is going to be too long and you're going to find it difficult sitting. That's how come you see people struggling and people suffocating in their corset, because it's too long and it makes them feel uncomfortable. So this is actually a tip to note: 5 inches, or better still, less than 5 inches. So I'm going ahead to label. Like I said, my first line is my shoulder line, second line is the bust point line, my third line is my under bust line, my waistline, and then the hip line. So I'll be transferring the shape of my cap onto my pattern, and to do this I'm aligning the end part of my cap to my under bust. Okay, and then on my bust line I'm going to come down by 1 inch. You can come down by half, or you can go up by 1 or half inch. This depends on how much cleavage you want to show. Then you're going to mark the point of your cap to the other point. It shouldn't be more, it shouldn't exceed, it shouldn't be shorter than that. Okay, it should be exactly as it is, so that when it's time for you to stitch, everything is going to fit perfectly. So next off, this corset is going to have a yoke, so I'm marking down that measurement. So it's just like drafting the normal bodice block. I marked my across front and I squared it down, came down by 1 inch, marked my neck depth, and then I'm going ahead to mark my armhole curve. So just as I've done, it's as simple as that. If you know how to draft this, it shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to be tracing out the upper part of my cup onto my pattern to give me the outline of my yoke. Okay, then I'm going to be connecting that back to my armhole. So the next thing to do is to transfer my horizontal measurement. My bust measurement is 36, so 36 divided by 4, because this is drafting on a half block, is going to give me 9. My waist is 30. 30 divided into 4 is going to give you 7.5. Then I'm going to come down by 5 inches, because on the pattern you can see that from the waistline to the hip line is too long. From the waistline to the hip line it's 9 inches. Okay, so coming down to get my top length, I use 5 inches. From my shoulder to my waist is 18. Adding 5 inches gives me 23. So next thing I'm going to do is to mark my hip measurement as well. So my hip is 44. I mark that down, and I'm going to be connecting that back to the waist and then back to the bust line. So because this is a dartless top, we are not going to be adding any dart. It's just going to be flat, just as you can see. So I'm cancelling out this portion because I don't need it anymore. And next thing to do is I'm adding half an inch. You can also go ahead to add more than half. This is just for ease. Okay, so I'm adding that to the side seam of my top, and I'm going to be connecting that back to my waistline. I'll also make use of contour. I'm going to take out 1/2 inch from my waistline, and I'm going to connect that back to my bust. Okay, so what this does is to just reduce the waist a little more so you can be snatched more. Okay, so you can take out more than 1/2 inch if you want to be snatched more, but I took 1/2 inch because I want to be very comfortable. After you're done with this step, you are basically done with your front. You see how simple this is. There's no skirmishes going on. This is just straightforward. Then you can see I'm labeling. I'm writing my yoke. I'm going to write down my center front, my side front, how many pieces I'm supposed to cut. And this is very important because not labeling can actually lead you to crisis. Moving on to the back, you're going to repeat everything you did for the front to the back in regards to the yoke. Okay, so you're going to mark your across front. You come down by 1/2 inch. You mark that down to your neckline. You mark your neck depth, and then the back doesn't have anything going on, so I'm just marking down my bust, my waist, and then my hip. Okay, I'm going to connect that down to the hip so I can get the desired circumference for my top length. So I'm doing just that, and whatever I did for the front in regards to the contouring and then the ease measurements, I'm going to repeat that for the back as well. So on my waistline, I'm coming in by 1/2, and I'll be blending that to my hemline, and I'll also blend it to my bust line. So like I said, you can go in more, depends on how snatched you want to look. Then I'll be taking out some inches as well from the back to give that corset look. Okay, so I took out 2 inches from that. The next thing I'll do is to create my eyelet panel. Okay, because this is going to be made with net, we need to create something else using a fabric. We need to create a panel for the eyelets using fabric, because obviously we cannot use net to create that. So I'm making use of 2 inches to create that. After you are done, the next thing is to label. I always emphasize on the importance of labeling because it's very important. So after you are done, you're going to be styling or designing how you want your back yoke to look like. Okay, so there are different ways of styling the back. So I'm giving you 2 different style options, but I'm not going to go with this first option. I'm going with the second one that I just drew because I find it very easy. Life is supposed to be easy. So I'm going in with that, and so it's time for me to cut out my pattern. So if you've made it this far, you should be able to draft both front and back. It's very easy. I keep on saying it's easy because I find this method very simple as compared to all the methods that I've come across, and it also gives the same result. So I took this online course from one of the renowned fashion designers in Nigeria, and this is the method that she used that we all go crazy about on the internet. So you can try this and then let me know how your outcome is, because I always try this with myself and my clients and the results are always amazing. So if you find this difficult, then you need to go back to the beginning and then know your basics, because this is actually the most simple method that I've come across in making corset. Now that I'm done cutting my patterns, I'm just going to arrange them down to true it. So what this means is to just check if everything aligns perfectly. If not, I'm just going to be cutting any excesses, and if there needs to be any amendment, I correct that. So here I'm just transferring my pattern of the cap onto my paper. Then I'm going to be adding any seam allowances that I needed. So I'm just going to carefully cut this straight along the lines that I've marked, and I'm going to paste them on the brown paper just as it is. So when pasting it down, make sure you are making it flat as possible, making the curves still be curved. Don't try to straighten anything, because it's the curved part that is going to make out the shape of your cap. Okay, so just like so, you're going to trim it off. If you need to add any allowances, do so, but I like to add my allowances on the main fabric. So now that everything is set, I'll move on to cutting my fabric. So the rest of the video is going to be about cutting my fabric. So I'll add half an inch along all the edges of my patterns. Okay, 1.5 or 5/8 is the ideal measurement that you should add. The fabric I'm using for the cup is crepe. Okay, it's a crepe fabric. So if you have a spanzel fabric, you can make use of that. If you have a paradise fabric, if you have a bridal satin, whatever fabric that you have, you can make use of it, because I'm going to be interfacing this, so whether stretchy or not, the interface is going to take out the stretchiness. So I'm cutting 4 pieces of this, because I'm going to be using 2 as the main fabric, and then the other 2 is going to serve as the lining. When it comes to cutting this part of the pattern, you can see that I added 1 inch to the sides instead of half. This is because usually after you are done stitching the A and the B section, when it comes to joining the C back to that curve, there's always a shortage. It happens to me a lot, so I found out this strategy where I add an excess to my pattern just to avoid that shortage. So if there's an excess, rather I trim out the excess than if there is a shortage. I hope you understand what I mean. So you can also add this just in case. So next off, I'm cutting my eyelet panel. I'm also going to be making use of 4 pieces as well, and this is also going to have an interface. So I'm just using half an inch allowance all around this, and then I'm good to go. Now let's move to the star of the show, the corset body itself. So I'll be making use of body net. Okay, we are going to use this body net, and one side stretches, so you need to make sure the part that stretches is going to be the lengthwise part of your corset. So I'll be folding this corset, I'll be folding the net 3 times. The first fold, second fold, and third fold, so that by the time I'm done cutting, I'll have 6 pieces. Okay, so 6 pieces. 3 is going to be for my main body, and then the other 3 is going to be for my lining. So ideally you're supposed to get 4. Okay, but I wanted my corset to be a little see-through, that's why I'm using 3. I hope this makes sense. So you're supposed to fold it 4 times. Okay, you fold the first one, which gives you 2. You fold the next one, it gives you 4, right? You fold the next one, it gives you 6, and I think the last one gives you 8. Yes, that's how you're supposed to get the thickness of your corset. Okay, but I'm using 6. So if it's going to be confusing, then means you have to cut it individually. Okay, you cut it individually. You need to get 6 pieces of your pattern. Okay, 6, either 6 or 8, depends on how thick or how transparent you want your corset to be. I hope you understand. If you don't understand, let me know. I'll be cutting this for both the front and the back patterns. Okay, so not to confuse you or anything, if the folding method is going to worry, what you just need to do is to make sure you have 6 pieces of pattern. So if it's a front piece, make sure you have front one, 6 of it, or 8. Like I said, depends on how transparent or how thick you want your corset to be. Okay, so not to confuse you when it comes to the folding, make sure you have 8 pieces or you have 6 pieces. 6 times 8 times. Please, I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you don't understand, drop a comment and I'll get back to you on that. So now it's time for me to interface the patterns. Okay, so the ones that have the crepe, I'll be infusing my interface on it. So I quickly do that and then we know what to do next. But before that, this video is too long, so I couldn't infuse both the sewing parts and then the drafting parts together. So it's going to be in 2 sections. This is going to be the part 1 and the part 2 is going to follow up shortly. So if you've made it this far, this is almost the end of my video and I'm going to see you in my next part, which is going to be the stitching and then the styling part. I hope to see you in my next video, and if you have any questions, any comments, suggestions or anything at all, please let me know and I'm going to be in the comment section replying you. Lastly, before I leave, I want to say a big thank you to all my subscribers. We are at 14k, guys. I'm so happy. Even though I'm not consistent here, you guys have shown me so much love. You haven't given up on me. I love you guys so much. It's because of you I do what I do. Thank you, and I'm going to try my best to stay consistent here. It's actually not my fault because I have a full-time working job, which is designing and making clothes for women all over the borders. But this is not an excuse to actually not take YouTubing serious, because you guys are here for me. I also want to say a big thank you to everyone that has reached out to me to remind me, you need to post on YouTube, we miss you here. You guys have a special place in my heart, and don't worry, I'm going to be posting frequently. 2025 is my sign to take YouTube very serious, and the consistency is going to show. I love you guys all, and I'm going to see you in my next one. Bye.